Hello, my lovelies. Today we're going to make a fairy tree topper, the dollar store edition. Doesn't have to be dollar store. You can go to Walmart. You can pick stuff up from wherever, the craft store if you'd like. But you will need some things from around your house, and you'll need to pick up these extra um, supplies in order to create your fairy slash angel. I have this template. I just got those wings from online, and you can draw a quarter circle on the cardboard. Now it's important that the cardboard is like a cereal box type cardboard and not a corrugated cardboard. And you can choose whatever nail polish you want. I like sparkly. I don't like an opaque one though, because I find it makes the wings look really streaky. So you kind of want to find a nice translucent one. And then I got some nice felt. The felt is optional. I like it as a base. 5-minute epoxy, very important. And those floss packages are great because you're going to need the plastic part too. Let's get started. You start by unboxing our floss, saving the box. Don't rip that box. And we're going to choose our colors for the hair. I chose to make her a blonde because I'm going for a very neutral color palette today for my little fairy slash angel. But you can choose whatever colors you want. I do show you an example at the end of a white and green and purple one, but this one is just a very neutral color palette. We're going to mix up all those threads and then save a little bundle for later. Now we're going to make some bangs by folding the floss over the pencil. Creates a little loop. Put the wire over top of it. And we're going to thread that bead onto the wire. And voila, we have a little fairy head. Let's tack down that hair so it doesn't escape. Yeah, might as well do the bangs too. Now, I told you that plastic wrapper was going to come in place later. This is where we're going to make the wings. This is what we're going to make the wings out of. This will be the base. So we want to make sure we cut the plastic into 2 flat pieces. So cut off all the extra. Now, I grabbed a whole bunch of different black markers and I tried to find the one that works the best on the plastic. And I think I discovered that the Micron works the best. So I used that one. But whatever marker you can find, black, and it needs to be waterproof because when we add the liquid later, we don't want this outline to get washed away. So it's really important that you find a waterproof one when you're going to do this. And you're just going to trace your wing on both sides. Make sure you have one for each side, mirror images of each other. And you're just going to trace them out. And then we get to paint them once that ink dries with the pretty nail polish. This is sort of the magic, where the magic starts to happen. I like to start in the center and sort of work my way out from where it would join the body. That way it sort of follows the veining of the wings. And then once that's dry and you've done both sides, we're going to do the we're going to do the wire first. Then we're going to do the epoxy. You want to have the wire done first because you want to have it into the epoxy. Don't do as I do here. Wear gloves and make sure your space is ventilated. I had my windows and doors open and a fan going, so I definitely take precautions when it comes to this stuff. Probably should have worn gloves. Now, 5-minute epoxy is so easy to use. You just squeeze it from the tube and the 2 parts come out and you just mix it together really thoroughly and put it down. Now, this is cheap 5-minute epoxy, so it will yellow a little bit over time, but it's pretty good. You're going to let that fully dry. It says 5 minutes, probably a little bit longer than that. But the nice thing is, because we're only putting on a nice thin coat of it, you can cut through if you happen to go over the edges of your drawn wing. Look at how sparkly. Oh, so pretty. And make sure you get both sides done. Now let's put our fairy doll together. So start by attaching the wings together by just giving those wires a good twist. And they should be in pretty securely once you've epoxied them down. So I wouldn't be too rough on them, but still. You're going to want about a 6-inch piece of the thicker wire. Now this is a wrapped wire. It's kind of got a coating on it, and I don't want the coating to come off, so I'm just going to glue the ends down. Make sure those are nice and secure. Careful, the glue gun's hot. And I'll just make some little hands. And we're going to fold this in half so that we can attach it to our body. Find where the center is. Now this part was kind of tricky to show on camera, but you kind of want to wrap one of the skinny wires around her head, around one side, and then the other wire around the other side, and then twist in the front, and then wrap them back around again till the arms are secure. And she's gonna look kind of funny because she's really skinny right now. So we're gonna have to bulk her up a bit. That's where we get some more floss. I chose white again, sticking with the neutral theme here, neutral colors. And again, you can make yours as fancy, as colorful as you like. So you want to be a maximalist, you be a maximalist. That's perfect. You want to be a minimalist, be a minimalist. That is also perfect. So we're going to glue the floss down, and then to bulk, we're just going to bulk up her body so she doesn't just look like wires. I can't do much about the arms because the color of the floss is not right. So I was very fortunate that the color of the wire and the bead were so similar. So I didn't really have to worry about changing her quote unquote skin tone. But I want to bulk up her sort of chest so she doesn't just look like a wire. I'm going to add those wings on. That'll help bulk things up. I'll just keep twisting that floss around. Give her even more bulk. I'm just going to fold that excess wire and fold it in half, and then I'm going to clip off the edges extra because we don't need all that. I sped all this stuff up because really, how much can you just watch of twisting thread? Really? When you get back up to the wings, you can additionally secure them and add more bulk by crossing over the wings as well. So you're sort of crisscrossing over the wing and the back and under the arm, and we're going to do it in both directions so that she gets some extra thickness, sort of makes her bust, I guess. Not that she really has one, but just give her a little bit of bulk to her body. You can see it's already much better than just that skinny wire. And we'll just finish that up. I like to put the ends in the part that won't be seen. That way, if they do fray a little bit, you'll never see it. There we go. Now, here's this extra piece of the floss that we saved from earlier. Just gonna tie it in the center. And we're going to tack it down on the top of her head to cover the exposed wire from where we made her hair from. And there's fussing. I'm not going to lie. There's lots of fussing with these little dolls. You can fuss until you get her just right. And that's okay. Oh, she's looking pretty. She's just a little upper body right now. She doesn't even have her bottom half of her body yet. Speaking of which, let's start it. So I used in this case, it's a pizza box, and I just rolled it into the cone. It's about, I want to say 7.5 inches along the long end. And then I'm just using a template because my felt wasn't big enough to cover the whole thing. And this is a step that if you're going to sew your skirt down, you want to do this step because it gives you something to sew to. In this case, based on what I ended up doing for the skirt, I didn't really need to add this part, but I kind of like the finished, it sort of finishes it for me. Like it gives it sort of a finished appearance. So I'm just going to glue this felt down and then trim off all the excess around the bottom and including where she's going to sit in the top of that. Now, this was not the kind of ribbon that I wanted to get. This is a heavy duty ribbon. So I really had to reassess how I was going to make this work. So I cut all this ribbon into little 3.5-inch pieces, folded it in half, glued it, and then I'm going to just bend the corners down and glue that. So it creates like this little sort of loop. And I make a whole lot of these. I don't know how many exactly. Just make sure you save one of those little pieces of ribbon because you'll need it later for her arms. Now, this is also a very boring part. You're just going to glue these down all the way around the cone. And you're going to stagger them until you get to the top. Oh, look how pretty. It looks like a little Christmas tree already. Now, let's put our little girl in and see how well she fits in her new body. Here's that little piece I was talking about. I didn't film it properly, unfortunately. So you need a square. So make sure your little piece is square. And then you're going to roll it in a cone and glue it. I didn't show the gluing part, but there we go. We've got the little cone, and I just snipped off where the cone meets so it can go over her arms. Oh, these ribbons gave me such a hard time. I searched everywhere on how to make ribbon roses, and I tried all the different ways. And let me tell you, they were an abysmal failure. So I finally decided I was just going to do some really pretty ruffling details. So I took my ribbons, my skinnier and my wider ribbon, and I just did a running stitch along the bottom, just one seam, and then I pulled it tight and tacked it together. So it created like this little ruffled bundle, which is kind of looks a little bit like a flower. In hindsight, I wish I'd had some beads to sort of add to the center of it because I think that would have given it some nice sparkle, but you live, you learn. I made a whole bunch of those, and I saved a little bit of the ribbon for some longer strips to put around her waist. So make sure you don't cut up all your ribbon right away. Make sure you save some ribbon for around her waist. Now I'm just going to add her little sleeves, and unfortunately I had to unbend her little hands, so we'll just rebend those. And glue her back into her body, or glue her into her body, and she's finally becomes whole. Yay! Look how pretty. Oh, she's coming along great. Okay, here's that ribbon. See that one nice sheer ribbon? I used that from the felt package. So it was like an added bonus ribbon. We're just going to tie it around her waist and give it a little knot, and we're going to glue that down. My camera skills, I am so sorry. I'm learning, but I'm definitely not there yet. You just want to tie it in a knot around her waist and then tack it down so it lays in the front. This is optional. I really wanted a little bit of color, so I went and dug up a piece of garland from my Christmas stash, and I just tied it, or just turned it into a little wreath for her head, because I really like the look of that. You can pick up the garland from the dollar store if you want, or just go through your Christmas stash. It's just one little arm of a piece of garland, so it's not much. Maybe 4 inches long, maybe. All right, let's glue down those cute little ruffle bows I made. And I wanted to just randomly put the white and the cream. Lots of fussing. I told you there's lots of fussing. This is where lots of fussing comes into place. You're going to just, does this look right? Does this look right? And you just add it in until it's nice and full and looks how you want it to look. My original thought process was to add the silver and gold mini ornaments in through all of this. But as I looked at, I didn't really like the look of it. Again, if I, in hindsight, if I'd had some beads, some little gold beads, it would have looked so pretty. Oh well, I like it as it is. Instead, I used the ornaments and the ribbon ruffles in her little crown. And I'm very happy with how that turned out. I think that's a great solution for them. It gives her a little bit of extra bling for her head. And I hung just the one little gold star from her hand. And I'm really pleased with how well she turned out. If you don't have a jump ring, you can just use a little bit of that wire, or if you want, you can just try to attach it to her little wire hand that she has. So here's a part that you can decide if this is something you want to do. I like my dolls to have just eyeballs. So I just put little black round or oblong dots on her face. You can leave her face empty, or you can be fancier, but I really just like eyeballs. So she's done. This is it. This is what she looks like. And you can see her little friend here. I made her with flower petals instead of the ribbon. And you can decide what kind of fancy fairy you want to have on the top of your tree. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a blessed Yule. Have a Happy New Year. Bye.